You should all see a record button. There's a record button showing you are all being recorded. If you don't want to be recorded, time to go. Okay, everybody's being recorded. Thank you all for being here. Great showing. I want to thank John Simha, DeWonk, Jason, Sam, Rabbi Stephen Axelman, Sue Hirsch, Andrea Fedorov, Christine Howard-Ishmawi, Daniel Robert Stark, CE, Jeremy Zogby Polling, Matt of Grand California, Jay Arias of Movimiento de Independencia de Baja. Yes, I can do that fast. John, Nicholas Wildstar, Farhad Khorasani, Mustafa from Al Jazeera News, Morgan, I think that's Quatimek, Morgan. So we are here today for the very first Yes California Board of Directors meeting. Quatemoc. Quatemoc. Quahutemoc. Okay. I'm going to keep practicing. Okay, I'm going to keep practicing.
The last
all right.
Aztec emperor.
I know who he is. I'm third generation Mexican, so that's why I screw up the pronunciation. Lo siento todos. Lo siento. So this is our first meeting of the Yes California group. I could ask if everybody would please mute themselves. I can mute you here, but if you can mute yourselves. We're going to have a very structured meeting. It's about production. So it's about, we have different publicity ideas to raise awareness for California, to have this conversation about independence. And that's mostly what we're going to be talking about. Matt, can I ask you to mute yourself, brother?
I'm driving right now.
Okay.
Which is probably what you're hearing.
Give me 1 second. Okay. There's another CalExit group meeting, and we love it, and it's for general discussion. That's not what we're doing here. I've collected about 30 different people. Half of you are brand new, half of you have been in the movement. And the reason the 15 new people came on was the same reason that the existing 15 people came on. After Wednesday, the United States of America does not appear to be a safe bet. We are not asking anyone here to believe that CalExit is the solution. What I'm asking everybody, and will be intolerant on, is that you must believe that it is now unreasonable to not have this conversation. You just saw a coup in the United States of America, whatever you think about it. Perhaps it wasn't well organized and perhaps it was bumbling, but it happened. That only happens in failed states. 1 month ago, on Meet the Press, a major television show on politics, Chuck Todd talked about how the American government appears to be a failed Latin American state. Politico magazine, a well-respected political magazine, had a professor who said the exact same thing. So that's MSNBC, Meet the Press, and Politico magazine, two of the top most respectable mainstream political organizations saying, wow, so much dysfunction, America looks like a failed Latin American country. They said that 1 month ago. They were not aware of January 6th or the events on Wednesday. So what I would like to tell all of you is you have experts in this last month saying, looks like America's not stable. And that was before the coup. There isn't any greater evidence. The fact is that California is the 5th largest economy. The fact is that the New York Times routinely calls us essentially a separate foreign country. Our policies are so different that we're seen as weirdos by the rest of America. And financially, we could afford to have our own everything. So now the question becomes, you're attached to a thing that's systematically failing. It doesn't appear stable. How is it reasonable to be standing on a sinking ship and someone comes up to you and says, hey, I'd like to have a conversation about a life raft. And you say, no, I understand we're going underwater, but I don't even want to talk about building a life raft. That's insane. That's crazy. And so what we're saying now is you have to believe that it's rational, that we should at least have this conversation about what if we have to go it alone and provide everything on our own because the United States of America no longer appears stable. That's what this is about. You don't necessarily have to believe in CalExit. You have to believe that it is now unreasonable to say, I'm standing on a sinking ship, the water's rising up to my knees, but I don't think we should even think about building a life raft or even talk about building one. That's crazy talk. So 15 people agreed to that. Another 15 people previously from the movement That's what we're going to be talking about. How do we get people in California to have this conversation and raise awareness? With us today, we have a variety of people who are part of this. I'm going to start off by doing introductions of everybody. Then I will turn it over to you to do a 1 minute, not longer. Please work with me. Quick introduction of you so we get you introduced exactly how you want. So let me do the intro and then I'll turn it over to everybody. I would ask if you could mute yourself right now. So I don't have to, just a feedback. TJ, I see you and your beautiful wife. Thank you for coming out, brother. All right, let's go over who is here today. Give me 1 second.
Dice que la introducción va a durar.
Okay. With us today on the board of directors is John Simha. He's been the outreach director for Yes California for 2 years. John is working with indigenous tribes on getting them to say that if California was independent, they'd be willing to be okay with that if they could get control or stewardship, as it's called, of the land. 1 second, my computer's doing something weird. 1 second, technical difficulties. Let me start again. Sorry about that, folks. Okay. There, now everybody can see me. John Simha's working with the indigenous people. He's had 11 different listening sessions with 6 different, he's had 6 different listening sessions with 11 different actual indigenous groups, real life indigenous groups, who say on video that they're open to taking over federal land returned to them in return for endorsing an independent California. Politically, that's brilliant because it allows us to show that the original inhabitants of this land are okay with CalExit. Additionally, John's working on the Gilded Platform. The Gilded Platform is a brand new technology that allows people to network and communicate. He's been working directly with the beta designers, and he'll be presenting that to us later on. Secondly, we have Matt Owens. Matt Owens is the ambassador from Yes California to Grand California, or Baja Independence. He's been working with Yes California for 4 years, trying to build a bridge between the Baja Independence movement and here in California. Professor Walter Williams is retired United States Army captain. He's also an author of an LGBTQ book. He is a professor, and he's working on a project to build a policy guidance of what a future independent California could be. Nicholas Wildstar is a candidate registered for the governor's race here in 2022 in California. He's also known as the best signature gatherer anywhere in California. He has collected the most people signing the CalExit initiative of anyone. I think he's up around 120 people. And he'll be walking through what is it he says to people to get them to sign. I've been with Nicholas while he traveled to 8 different locations throughout all of California, north and south. In each location, he says the same thing, and they always sign. Conservative, liberal, coastal, interior, old, young. We'll find out from Nicholas very soon. Moving on. Cuauhtemoc Morgan is part of the Baja Independencia, or let me just say it, Movimiento de Independencia de Baja. Yeah, I'm half Mex. So he's with us here. Baja Independence has been a long-range partner of Yes California. We're very proud that they'll be here. J. Arias Chavez is also part of the Baja Independencia, Movimiento de Independencia de Baja, and he will also be here with us. Finally, myself, I am the founder with the book California's Next Century, published in 2011. Alexandra Rawlis is a new member in the Central Valley. She was dismayed at the dysfunction of America after Joe Biden was elected and felt CalExit may be happening soon. See what happened? Even with the Biden election, people started joining the movement. They weren't sure America was working out. David Rodriguez has been a graphic arts expert for Yes California for about 6 years. He works in commercial sales and sells graphic arts to car sale companies. Robert Stark has been a reporter who's followed CalExit from the very beginning. He knows who we were in 2011, 2012, 2016, and yet he's never joined. So he has an independent mind and can talk about how our message and look has evolved over time. Farhad Khorasani. Farhad is the newest officer of Yes California. He is a practicing international lawyer out of the Tarantulas community of 1 million Persian-loving, Iranian-cultured Californians. He's our contact to them. We are working on an initiative to have Californians show that we don't want to be like America, and we're not militaristic. And while Americans like to build walls, we like to build bridges and have a very different policy to countries independent from America. Farhad Khorasani will be the Yes California's newest officer, reaching out to the 1 million Californians of that heritage here. Kambiz Mostafizadeh. I gotta say, Kambiz has been there from the beginning. I started this journey in 2011. I self-published the book, California's Next Century. Kambiz Mostafizadeh was the only person who would talk to me. He published the book. He was the official publisher who actually published the book that started CalExit, California's Next Century 2.0. There from the very, very beginning before it was CalExit. So he too can say where we've been and where we're going. Christine Howard Eshmawi is an excellent advisor on social media, how to reach to the youth, and graphic arts. Super talented, has come out to CalExit meetings for the last 2 years, advising us. Happy to have her. Dawank Mahajan is a data analyst scientist. He's with us right now. He might be in India, he might be in California. He's traveling back and forth, getting his graduate degree. He's going to study the campaigns on Google of CalExit in the past, look at those analytics and get us back information on what are the best search terms to use moving forward. That's Dawank Mahajan. Darren Brown proposed a California currency recently. He's also running the Yes California podcast. Darren will be here later to ask all of you for an interview. He has a plan for a Yes California podcast, which I'll get into a little bit later. And he would like to hear all of you explain why you think it's unreasonable to not have this conversation right now. Moving on to Doug Bloomer. Doug Bloomer worked with CalExit for 6 years. He was there before it was even known as CalExit. He worked with me on a show. He's worked in Hollywood and on movies and on production. He's a production analyst. Jared Mofat is an expert in initiatives in the government. He worked with Yes California on our current initiative, and he knows how to explain things in proper California government ease. John Bowman is a philosophy expert from the East Bay and a critical thinker. He'll be questioning all our thoughts. Andrea Fedorov organized a union of 50,000 Las Vegas entertainers. Now, these were dancing ladies, but there were 50,000 of them. And Andrea single-handedly, against opposition, got 50,000 people into a union. She's also taught college marketing. Louis Marinelli is the first president of Yes California, my personal friend, my personal brother. He co-founded Yes California with me. Now, I started the movement. If I could ask everybody to mute, someone's getting feedback. If everybody can mute. Louis and I started the movement in 2014. Now, I had the book out in 2011. I had the first article in 2013, and I did okay. I got a newspaper article. I got on TV once. I had about 100 people following me. Louis had worked on a presidential campaign for John Edwards. He had worked on a national movement on marriage campaign that got 240,000 people and $2 million in capitalization single-handedly. He literally got the spotlight. Now, I started the idea, I had the concepts. I couldn't sell it. I can do it now. But years ago, he was the one that ran for assembly. He was the one that got us 2 articles in the LA Times. He was the one that got on TV. He knew how to sell this so that it was sexy and hot and people would even pay attention. And for all his faults, we would not be here today if he did not blow up the concept in 2015 so that we could even have a movement when Trump won. I can debate that with you to the end of time. And you may not like that, but that's the history of it. TJ Shelton is a new member from the Central Valley, Valley boy like myself. He's a critical thinker. Now, one of the things is that half the board members don't have a formal training in a particular area, but everybody's a critical thinker and smart. And so I brought on a lot of people who are just able to critically think and go, well, I don't know. So we're really going to test out all our thinking here. Scott Torito is a marketing and sales consultant. He has a marketing background and he can sell you just about anything, ice to an Inuit. He works on indigenous rights and we're proud to have him. There are 4 advisors to the board. Christian Egeslaw is an elections and referendum specialist who has expertise in the British referendums. Just going to leave it there. Alistair Caithness is a blockchain advisor to Yes California. He's our official representative. He works for the Libertarian Party as their representative and recently published an article on alternative currencies for the official World Bank. Yes, the World Bank, the World Bank. Johnny from Los Angeles is a longtime CalExit member. He knows how to do activism. And Brett Pike was the only CalExit member to actually go to Sacramento, meet politicians, and lobby for us. So I know that was a long list. We just got to get this out. I'm going to do a quick round robin, and then we're going to get into what the organization of the group is. So I'm going to call your name. If you would unmute yourself and talk for 1 minute, I will cut you off after 1 minute. Please work with me, okay? Quick introduction. Hey, Marcus, you didn't say my name right, and you need to mention that. Okay, just spit it out, and we're going to move on. So the first person is going to be John Simha. John? Okay, we'll come back to John. Matt Owens. Matt Owens, quick introduction.
Okay. Hello, everyone. Matt Owen at the site, hopefully, of the cultural mission of Grand California to the sovereign Kauai Nation. You're asking me about a marketing contribution, and I've been doing it since 2017. Here it is. Okay. I noticed that this was the flag under which we originally liberated ourselves and became de facto independent for 10 years, right? This is why I don't use the bear flag, okay? The bear flag was hoisted by people who took our independence away. So
okay, Matt, just quick introductions, brother. We're going to get into projects soon, I promise you.
Okay. Well, basically, you know, I'm pillar to post out here. First took up with the independence movement, California independence movement in 2016. No, 2017, somewhere around there, and never looked back. Okay, I've been trying to pull people into it from the folks I was working in.
All right.
Okay.
Let's stop there. Let's stop there because we got a lot of people. It's just a little snippet. Thanks, Matt. Let's go to Jason Wright. Quick, seconds long intro.
Alrighty, my name is Jason Wright. I have been the Bay Area Regional Coordinator since 2016, end of 2016. I have been helping to make movement on establishing cultural embassies or cultural friendship centers. They can be known by many different names. To better establish supportive relations between California and other nations that are pursuing independence, such as Artsakh, Scotland, and others.
Okay.
I also, okay.
We're just going to do little snippets. Sorry, brother. Sam Chaney. Quick little intro.
Yeah, I'm Sam Cheney, reporter for Weaponized News, and been reporting on Marcus since the beginning. And I feel like America is a failing empire, and like he says, we need a lifeboat.
Thank you, John Simha.
Sorry, I had to unmute myself, y'all. My name is John, Johnny Apple King, Johnny AK. I got a lot of different monikers. I started volunteering with Yes California in 2016 after I watched Bernie get robbed, and I've been working with them formally as the Director of Outreach since 2017, and ready to create an independent California free of settler colonial violence.
Awesome, awesome. Rabbi Stephen Axelman. Rabbi?
Hi, name is Stephen Axelman. I guess my only ties to California was I was a Reagan conservative. I'm now more libertarian. I live in New York City in a liberal hot nest, although personally I am not liberal. I am strongly pro-secession for about the last 8 years, involved in a few movements around the country that are trying to promote this. Most of my efforts go into New Hampshire because one of my sons is there. He owns Liberty Block, which is what I'm sort of representing today. We have a weekly podcast whose goal is to speak with, in a polite and respectful setting, anybody interested in discussing, arguing, debating. But I think the only hope for this country is to peacefully separate. Thank you.
Thank you. We have conservatives on this panel. Now, everybody has to believe in diversity and inclusion and LGBTQ rights and science and climate change. But you can also believe that taxes are too high and regulation is too high and be a little bit conservative, and you are welcome to be part of the party. Thank you, Rabbi. Andrea Fyodorov. Andrea, I understand you're in the hospital. Could you introduce us to you real quick? If not, that's not an issue.
No, no problem at all. I have a broken back right now, which is why I'm lying on my side.
We understand.
Broken back or not, I would have had no trouble in Vegas putting together 50,000 strippers because they absolutely needed to be, they needed to have somebody backing them up. But what I did was I put my union together first, and I waited until it was the right moment to strike. And as soon as the commissioners came up with some outrageous law that infuriated everybody, I was ready to go. I had voter guides ready. I had everything set up, health insurance, you name it. Bam. I signed up 50,000 people. Then I started going after the politicians and telling them, I got a block of 50,000 people here. So if you don't start looking at our issues, you're toast. So unfortunately, the Democrats, of which I am raging.
Okay. Thank you, Andrea. We're going to get more into the story. I just wanted them to get a taste of you. And this is the thing. I worked really hard to get people who are critical thinkers. We're not tolerating any negative energy. We'll get to that. But I wanted people going, you sure that's right? Did you look underneath that rock and flip it over backwards and check what happens on a Sunday? A lot of critical minds. Andrea is definitely one of them. Let's go to Christine Howard Eshmawi.
Hi, you guys. My name is Christine. So I am not a native Californian, military brat. I've moved all over the world and the US. I have 2 degrees from Savannah College of Art and Design in graphic design. And so my focus the last about 10 years has been marketing, social media, and doing freelance work, as well as working for different companies.
Can I see that baby?
He is in front of little baby bums right now. So
okay.
Which is a kid's TV show, just to let you guys know.
Everybody figured that. Everybody figured that. I'm picking on you, Christine and Andrea, because I wanted to point something out. This is activism. I got a kid. I'm in the hospital. Okay, we need to accommodate you. So wherever you're at, I've had a couple, I don't know, I have my kid, I got to do this and I'm not. Show up with them. It's the new normal. There's no judgment here. You come how you are. That's activism. I've always said that. Sorry for picking on you, Christine. I just wanted to make a point, like, be a mom, have this, do that. If you're gardening and you have to do it because, like, my dad's always on me about gardening, I might call in one of those things while I'm helping him out. New normal. We're accommodating here. You don't have to be like, everything's perfect. And I have to look. We don't got time for that. Pandemic going on. Okay. Thanks, Christine. Daniel. I think that's Daniel from the Texas Nationalist Movement.
Yes, Daniel Rice, Texas Nationalist Movement. We're also trying to gain independence, self-determination for Texas. I am in a relatively new department, which we're calling international engagement. So my role is to reach out to the various self-determination movements in North America and the globe to basically do the bridge building. for lack of a better term, we're sort of generically referring to me as an ambassador of sorts. Our organization was set up by Daniel Miller, who wrote a book, Texit, and we have very similar goals as Yes California, even if we're on the opposite end of things on most political issues. We still believe
I'll get you that $20 after the show, Daniel.
Yeah, right.
Okay. Thanks for
Okay.
saying that. No, that's
Get my Venmo.
Texas Nationalist Movement is here. I've already talked to Daniel. We do not share values with the Texas Nationalist Movement. We don't. But we share love and a commitment to peaceful and legal path. So yes, folks, there's going to be some conservatives here. They have to support California values. And the ones that don't, we're not saying that we see eye to eye with them. What we're saying is, if Yes California is actually serious about legal secession, you gotta get the votes. All right, that's the only legal pathway. Whatever you want to argue, Texas versus White Amendment, whatever, you got to get the votes. How are you going to do that if you don't even talk to conservatives in red states? Ain't going to happen. And how are you supposed to be taken seriously if you ain't even talking to them? Oh, I'm committed to legal and peaceful secession, but I have no contact with them, and I've made no effort to reach out to those fucking. I'm sorry. Oops. You get the idea. We ain't those kind of liberals. Doesn't mean we don't think like them, but we're actually committed to winning. So leave it there. Thank you, Daniel. Daniel is not on the board. He is a visitor, and he has an offer to be on the board if it's approved. Let's go to Robert Stark. Robert, you've known me for a long time, brother.
I've known Marcus since we were on the radio together in Fresno. I'm a journalist, independent citizens journalist, and I'm also a reporter for the local radio at UCSB. I'm also an artist and a documentary filmmaker. And I'm just seeing these trends with the United States, and not just what's happening now, just how it's the empire has become so dysfunctional, and there's no cohesiveness or shared values. And under Biden, there's more going to see like a stronger push for censorship and just this kind of fighting back and forth between both sides. So things are not working. And then besides Calexit, I think there needs to be some kind of political alternative within California, especially candidates. I know Yes California doesn't run candidates, but that's what I'd like to see as an alternative.
We can get into that
establishment. Okay.
Yeah, Robert, remember that, because 3 different people told me about starting a third party. Don't freak out, folks. I'll explain it to you in a little bit. But Robert, you're the 3rd person to mention that in the last 24 hours to me. So we will discuss that. I just want to do it in pieces so people can follow along. Everybody's going to get their piece. I'm very big on organizations so that people watching this recording know, okay, that's what they're talking about now. This is what they're doing now. And then it's not about us. It's about people watching who aren't here and can't ask questions. So CE. I'm not sure who that is. Okay. Christian Eggeschlaw. Christian, would you introduce yourself, please?
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you said at the beginning this was a chance to correct you if you've done any names wrong. It's been 6 months that we've been working together, Marcus, and it's still Eggershaw.
I'm sorry. You got me. I don't have an excuse. I really try to get names right, and yes, Sam, I see. Yes, bad California.
I look forward to
bad Californian. You should have got the name right. You should have learned the pronunciation. Bad. I'm sorry.
Anyway, I'm from the United Kingdom. I work with elections, whether that be local elections, general elections, and most importantly to you guys, referendums. I love an independence movement. I believe in small government. Essentially, what I would love to be here and do is help you guys achieve your goals. I'm not the face of anything. I'm never a face of movement. What I do is work in the foreground, make sure you guys have the tools to achieve what you want to achieve in your movements.
Thank you. I'm just going to say this. You had something to do with the Leave campaign and showed a high level of expertise with that. I'll leave it there. I understand it's a delicate subject, but Christian knows his stuff. This guy's gone to a couple meetings. He's challenged some assumption. He goes, I wouldn't say it like that. I'd do this and then flip it over and do it like that. And we're like, so good stuff. Thank you, Christian.
Don't take it personally, Christian. He mispronounces just about everybody's name for at least 6 months. So he still calls Matt Owens after how long now?
Well, I'm
4
just
years.
on the 6-month boundary, so hopefully now Marcus will start getting it right.
I'm sorry, everybody. Okay, I am sorry. I'm trying. I will get better. You're right. I just got a reminder. It's Matt Owen, and I keep saying Owens. Jeremy Zogby.
Yeah, Marcus.
Zogby poll. Jeremy Zogby he's not a board member. He's not an advisor. He's just a guest. Jeremy Zogby, are you there, brother?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yeah. Hey.
Yeah, hi. Hey, good to see you, Marcus. So I apologize for the miscommunication. The survey that I have is a nationwide sample of 1,000 American likely voters. However, I have been able to segment it to the Western region, which are all of the states west of the Rocky Mountains. So I have that subgroup, and I have a very important question on secession that I'd like to share whenever the time is appropriate and the results as well.
Why don't you go ahead and do that right now? I'm going to ask everybody. We're going to talk to Jeremy for a few minutes, and then we will come back and finish the introductions. But I think you're going to like this. So we're going to talk to Jeremy for a few minutes, and then we'll come back to introductions. Because Jeremy, I think you got something groundbreaking, and I'd really like to share it with people. Could you talk about it for a few minutes now?
Shall I share my screen?
I am not
don't worry about it.
good
Don't
at
worry
that.
about it. No, don't worry about it.
Sorry. Next meeting we'll do screen sharing.
Sure. Okay. So if everybody, just if you got a pen and paper, if you're interested, I'm going to read the question. This was asked back in July 8th of 2020. And the survey in general was the political landscape. Which of the following statements comes closer to your view? There's statement A, which says states seceding from the Union is illegal and any attempt should be put down by military intervention, on the one hand. Statement B says states have a legal right to declare independence from the federal government and should not have to face any military intervention. Basic breakdown. Overall, right, all likely voters, 39% went with the put it down with military. 36% of likely voters said no, they have a right to declare independence. 25% are not sure. If we break that down to Western states, those states west of the Rockies or the Rockies and west, you have 45% who agree with the pro-secessionist sentiment, that is the right to declare, versus 35. So you have a plurality who agree with the statement, the right to declare independence, versus 35% who say military intervention and 20% who are not sure.
So 45% of the people out here in the West, according to the survey, say they're okay with secession.
Yes. And
then
now,
another,
of course, that subgroup, it's a subgroup, there is a higher margin of error, which would be around plus or minus, off the top of my head, 7%. But the point is either high 30s or low 50s.
And yeah, so one more time, there's 45% who say I'm open to secession somehow in the West. And then there's another 25% who say they're not sure.
20%.
20%. So we're looking at 45% say I'm open to secession in the West, plus an additional 20% say I'm not opposed, not sure. When you add that up together, that's 45 plus 20 is about 65%.
So the key question would follow, how many of those would support a referendum? Either way you slice it, you have the potential, in the case of California, the potential for hundreds of thousands or a couple or a few million.
Worst case scenario, folks, he said there's only a couple million people here in California supporting secession. Oh no, what are we gonna do? Just a couple million people. You getting what he's saying? Like, yeah. And Jeremy, I think this what I find interesting is that the Stanford and Reuters surveys of January and February 2017 showed about 45% in California were open to secession. That seems to very closely mirror your 45% in the West in 2020. January are open to secession. I find it interesting that a poll in February 2017 said about 45% are open to secession collectively, and you have similar numbers 3 years later. Fascinating. Is there any way you could email me that survey or whatever you can share, and I'll post it up here to chat for everybody?
Yeah, I can certainly send you the cross tabulations on that particular question.
And I think you also said that it might be possible to buy or fund through donations a more specific California survey. Is that right? Is that a possibility?
Oh, absolutely. Sure. Yeah, we could easily survey the state of California.
I think for about 8K, was it?
That sounds about
Ish.
right.
Ish. Yeah. I understand, blah, blah, you know, ish.
Yeah.
Ish. Okay. So about 8,000 we could get, I'll be polling survey rest of California, and I'll get you those surveys now. Thank you, Jeremy. I'm going to go back to introductions and we'll come back. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Okay. We already did Zorro. Jay Arias. Jay Arias. Quick introduction, brother.
Good day, everyone. My name is Jay Draco Arias Chavez. I'm a polymath and spokesman and representative of the Movimiento Independentista de Baja California, or MIBC, in the northern region of the peninsula, born and raised here in Tijuana, Rosarito area. I'm here with Cuauhtemoc Morgan, who is representative of the southern region of the peninsula. Viva la Gran California Libre.
Orale, orale, orale. Thank you. By the way, I'm third generation, so if anybody says your Spanish is this and that, sorry. Third generation, okay? It was Tejano, and then it was Latino gangster movies, and then Spanish, Castilian-style Spanish in high school. So it's all messed up, and I apologize.
I'm a zero-generation American, and my English, I got it all from TV, so there's no...
Well, you speak English better than I speak Spanish, okay? No, don't make me cry. All right, we'll move on. John, is that John Simha? We already did John. I have another John here. Is there someone named John other than John Simha? Okay, Nicholas Wildstar.
I think you meant John Bowman.
John Bowman.
Yeah.
John Bowman, are you there?
Yes.
Quick introduction, brother.
Okay, sorry about that. And I'll be sure to submit my biography. But yeah, my name is John Bowman. I'm a registered Democrat, and I was going to go to graduate school but I kind of put that off. You know, I've been a long time, environmental supporter, and I've just been kind of disillusioned with the way the country has been going ever since, the Democrat Party kind of pushed out Bernie. And so I definitely, I don't have a lot of experience with helping out with this kind of thing, but I just want to kind of help any way I can with, getting people to talk about, CALEXIT as an option, with all the polarization going on.
I'm going to take a second to highlight John Bowman. John, what you just said is the commercial. I'm not looking for hardcore CalExit people anymore. I'm looking for people like you. Hey, things are not looking like they're working right. I don't know if CalExit's the right thing, but what do you mean we shouldn't be having this discussion? We should be having this discussion as Californians out of a sense of security. And boy, did you encapsulate that right now, John. That's the commercial, brother. Literally, no, I'm not joking, man. What you said is what we're trying to go for. We did the whole hardcore CalExit, we're better, we could do whatever we want for years, and we got as far as we can. But we don't need to sell that anymore. People aren't even sure there's going to be a USA next week. So it's about saving your patoot. And you really encapsulated that, John. Thank you.
Sure.
Nicholas Wildstar. Nicholas Wildstar, are you there? Quick intro, brother.
Hello, can you hear me?
Get wild.
Get wild.
Okay, we are not endorsing the recall. He is allowed to do that because he's part of it. We are not endorsing the recall. Nicholas, I have to do that so I'm not skinned alive, okay?
No,
Nick,
it's all good. This is my backdrop of choice, so it has everything to do with me.
Your choice.
I'm endorsing the recall. That's what I've actually been doing out there, gathering signatures to recall Gavin Newsom, and I've been involved in the community as an activist for over a decade, and collecting petition signatures, BLM protests, Reopen California protests, etc. I'm a very popular, I guess what they call First Amendment auditor on YouTube. My channel has nearly 30,000 subscribers, but like over 9 million views or something like that. So check out my YouTube channel and some of my videos. And as Marcus so handsomely put it, I am a candidate running for governor of California. I was the 2018 endorsed Libertarian candidate for California governor. I got about 12,000 votes. So I'll be running on the Republican platform this time in 2022, if not sooner, if we can recall Gavin Newsom. But I have declared my candidacy as governor, as a candidate for governor.
Thank you. I'm going to ask you a quick question. I just need to point out, Nick, like me, hates Trump, okay? And he supports California values. So I understand recall, and I understand you heard the word Republican. He hates Trump. He doesn't like racism. He's like me, okay? So I understand you're seeing recall and Republican. You're like, oh, okay, but folks, he's a Californian who believes in our values. You don't have to agree with everything he's saying, but those two things I squared away personally. So let's go from there. Nick, real quick, in about 1 minute, what is it that you say to people in multiple locations? Old, young, black, white, Latino, libertarian, conservative, progressive, LGBTQ with purple hair? You say the same thing and you get the exact same reaction. Could you pretend for a second that we are total strangers who walked up to you? What do you tell us to get us to sign?
Absolutely. Well, first, I'm out there to collect signatures to recall Gavin Newsom. I mean, his policies alone have driven people enough to want to act in the community. So it's like, once we have this conversation speaking about issues local to them, I add on to them, well, hey, why would you like to also sign a petition to research California becoming its own state so we can keep our taxes here instead of sending them off to the federal government? Because young or old, whatever you said as far as the demographic may go, they don't like taxes. Nobody likes having money taken out of their pocket, especially if it's not going towards helping those people in their community or any of the programs local to them. So when I asked them about this, I also continue with us being a donor state and sending more money off to the federal government to be spent on educational programs, health programs, instead of helping those here in need in the state of California. And when saying that, people usually are on board with signing the petition. I tend to stay away from striking language like separating from the US. I mean, because just the concept in itself is already something that's striking to individuals. So I kind of use less offensive language, so to speak, by saying, you know, it's just researching into us, looking into us becoming our own state, having some independence, which is something that we definitely need right now more than ever.
Thank you. Thank you. If you go to the chat, I posted up a video of Nick going over his exact speech. I want to point something out. I was with him at 8 locations. Some of the people did not sign the recall thing, and he got them to sign the CalExit initiative.
True.
Some of the people did sign the recall thing, and he got them to sign the CalExit initiative. Some of the people didn't want to have it. So and he never said, hey, if you're for recall, you'll also love this. He had a conversation about recall, and then he said, by the way, I've got this other thing. So I don't want people thinking that these were people who only liked recall and therefore they want us to secede. It was that what Nick's saying is you start a conversation. Hey, do you like cats? I have a petition to give free cats to everybody. Oh, I'm for cats. I'll sign a petition for cats. And then they're signing. And what Nick taught me was once you have them signing something, you're a good guy to them. Psychologically, they're already go, oh, you're a decent person. You share my values, and I've already said yes to you once. So now you come up with another question, I'm more inclined to say yes again. Psychology. It doesn't have to be the recall petition. It has to be something that gets them to walk up to your table and say, hey, yeah, cool. And then you go, by the way, California's a donor state, and we have the worst schools and roads and dams, and we send our money to other states. Would you like to explore us being able to keep that money here and be more independent so we don't lose all our federal tax money? Check out the video. That's what he said. It was not, you must believe in recall and hate Newsom. That's not what happened. I was watching him. Some people said that and then signed. Some people did not say that and signed. So it's totally independent. All right, moving on to the next person. Thank you, Nick. We'll get back to you. Appreciate it. Farhad Khorasani. Farhad Khorasani. We're almost done with intros, everybody. Just 5 more minutes, please bear with me. Farhad Khorasani.
Hello, everyone. My name is Farhad Khorasani. I'm an attorney based in Los Angeles. Oh,
you're upside down.
Am I? Yeah.
I mean, it's still recorded. There, one more turn. Give it one more turn. There you go. Looking good. Looking good. Beautiful. You're a gorgeous man.
Sorry, guys.
All right, you're good. You're good. Farhad Khorasani, everybody.
All right. I'm an attorney based in Los Angeles. I also run a cultural nonprofit. Why? The reason I'm here today is because the first time I watched Marcus's message to the Iranian and Persian people, I was pulled into this. There's 1 million Iranian Californians living in California. They love California. They have always been subject to discrimination and economic sanctions by the US government. Doesn't matter, the Democratic or Republican government. And they will love the idea. So I'm here to help the movement sell the idea to Californians of Persian heritage, because they alone can help the movement get this into the ballot and get the vote that we need.
That's awesome. That's beautiful. I made a video a few months ago, Yes, California did, and the radical message we had was, Californians don't like wars. We've kind of been against every single American war, and we're full of immigrant communities. And so we are a cross culture of many cultures. And our culture is Armenian, Iranian, Hmong, El Salvadoran, Hindu, Pakistani, Indian. This is who we are. You know, we've had a Sikh community here for 100 years. We've had the second largest Armenian community, third largest Iranian communities, third largest Jewish community, first largest El Salvadoran community, first largest Hmong community. This is who we are. That's all I said. And Farhad goes, wow, I don't see anyone else saying that. Well, I guess just Yes, California CalExit. Thank you, Farhad. We'll come back to you, brother.
Of course.
Morgan.
Yes, I'm a journalist from Los Cabos, Mexico, and active in the movement, Movimiento Independentista de Baja California, since 2015. And today I'm working with Jay Arias. He's in the north and I in the south of the peninsula, working for the independence of the world peninsula. Greetings.
Thank you. Okay, Mustafa. Mustafa, I think, is also a guest here today. He's a journalist with Al Jazeera. Mustafa, you don't have to say anything. I just want to make sure this. Okay, we're finally going to go to our last person, TJ Shelton. TJ, last but not least, brother, would you like to introduce yourself as another Valley boy like me?
Yay, I'm from Fresno. Fresno has had surveys done on it globally as being the most diverse city on the planet. Just FYI, we're a melting pot. I'm a 4th generation electrical professional who gave up and left corporate America. I left a almost decade-long job on the tail end of Ahmaud Arbery getting murdered. I've contended for quite some time that in this nation, if we don't move toward conciliation, we're going to get divided and dispersed. You guys are a great example of that divided and dispersed thing. I'm glad the dude from Texas is on board in here, because Texas reserved the right on their way into the Union to secede peacefully. There should be no argument at all whether or not they can leave without military intervention. I'm married, 4 kids. I'm an ordained minister. I have an honorary, if you got it through a doctor in theology and divinity and history. I'm a history junkie. Anyway, blessed to meet y'all.
Okay, thank you. That's it for the introductions. I know that took a little bit of time, but I wanted everybody to see who's here. We're going to go into how this is organized. However, though, Jay has to leave in order to be accommodating. I'm going to let Jay from MIBC talk about his project real quick. Then we will come back to a discussion of how we're organized, and then we will go to projects. So Jay from MIBC, you have a project you'd like to cover with us for a few minutes, brother?
Thank you. Yes. It's just a general.
Just a few minutes.
Yes, it's just a couple of sentences of how we are working together. The Baja California Independence Movement, or MIBC, cordially salutes you in this important event in which we become part of the directive board. This is a very important day for the independence movements all over in North America, because Yes California has been the only current of thought that has demonstrated time and again, like never before, the way in which a peaceful movement can make its followers become encouraged. Based on the proposals of a deep and true change for the residents of the state of California. And as members of the MIBC, we are in agreement that the idea of a Grand California, which will be a region that, due to its importance of natural resources, strength, geographic location, and great people, will immediately be placed as the most important economic region in the world, and an example of inclusive democracy that brings development and opportunities to all inhabitants. MIBC has its origins in the same reasons as Yes California and CalExit, but our coincidences are even deeper than we can think of, precisely in the name that we share, California. The land that we all love has its origins in the southern part of the Mexican peninsula. Baja California and California is one unique region. In Mexico, the Baja California Independence Movement is the only one which has a structure that has stayed valid since the fiscal reforms of 2012. This is in Mexico. We have always carried ourselves in full respect of the laws of our country, and with the clear objective of converting the whole peninsula in one sovereign region. Now, since 2018, MIBC and Yes California signed a document of mutual and solidarity agreement and recognition of each other's movements. We have established that with respect to each other's sovereignty, both secessionist movements will advance in the diffusion of the idea to achieve total independence. In November of 2019, with Matt Owen, we made a public proclamation on the border where once again ratified our solidarity with the most active independence movements in North America, and in the interest that both regions become separated by peaceful means. California from the USA and the peninsula of Baja California from Mexico. We shall begin talks to form a grand economic region, uniting the potentialities which will not be complicated. This is because we share a common origin, and we propose that our original cultures and peoples have a prominent place, and we will never forget or send them to reservations. Now, on behalf of Cuauhtemoc Morgan, our leader and representative in the southern part of the peninsula, and myself, J. Director Juarez Chavez, spokesperson for MIBC, please receive our gratitude and respect. Our heart will always be with the people who suffer, those who do not have the chance of social growth, those who have relegated by faulty government policies, and those who have been persecuted by ideas of change. Today, we say to you that there are people who work to achieve that change, where a more just and equal society through a democratic government will project us into a better life for every one of us and our families. Viva la Gran California!
All right, I was gonna go into the organization of the movement, but some people have to go in a few minutes. I want to hear about their projects. That's really important. So the big point of the board is that every week we're talking about publicity projects. You just heard from Jay Chavez about roughly what MIBC is trying to pursue. Awareness about how Baja and California were one, and that our movements are mirroring each other, and that we are in partnership with the independence of Baja, in tied with the independence of California. So that's the publicity project you just heard directly from Jay. If you're interested in getting involved in that, I'll get you the contact information. Let's keep going over some projects and we'll come back to how the board's going to get organized because the energy is good. DeWonk, you have been very patient. DeWonk, if you could talk for a few minutes about data analytics and the information you're looking for, brother.
Got to unmute yourself.
I'm trying to. You have to unmute yourself, DeWonk.
Sorry. Hello, everyone.
There you go. Hey,
yeah,
talk to us about data analytics for a few minutes.
Yeah, sure. We are talking about everything now. Yeah, my name is Devang and I am from India, as you all know. I have done my bachelor's degree in computer sciences and I am going to pursue my master's in data sciences. And I have an experience of a software developer from quite some years. Okay, and foremost, in India, we have a student organization and that is the biggest in India, and that's all student union. Okay, and it's termed as Akhil Bharatiya Vidyarthi Parishad in Indian language, ABVP. You can check it out on internet. It's the biggest organization in India for the student committee, and I have been its member for 5 years and I have done many more things in it. So in this project, I am focusing towards IT direction. I am looking out for, creating a social media marketing team, with all of us so that we can campaign and digitalize and maximize our outreach. The main focus, what I am trying to think and deliver is, we want to have a big base for our Californian program. And what I suggest is using Google Analytics, data analytics, and any kind of, machine learning algorithm that can help predict the public sentiment score, or that can tell us anything what the public wants to hear, so that we know what the public is wishing for and we can deliver what they want to hear, keeping our motivation and thinking straight. Okay, we are going to be making a brand kind of thing. We want to be showcasing that this movement is the only thing that's standing forth, nothing above all. And I want to hear out everyone's thought how we can form a collaborative team in the social media marketing, because it's the foremost the biggest challenge for Yes California till date.
Okay, thank you very much. I really appreciate that. So that's a good introduction. We're just doing introductions to the projects so that you can meet the people, meet the projects, get some info for them. Thank you, Duwonk. Let's go to Jason. Just because I know you got a couple. Jason, in 2 to 3 minutes, no more, what are you working on and what is it to make an embassy, and who are you reaching out to and how are you doing that, brother? 2 to 3 minutes, please.
Yeah, so these cultural embassies, they are, for lack of a better term, we call them embassies, but they legally do not actually operate as an actual embassy. However, they are put together in a certain way so that if a nation, say, if California does actually declare independence and reinstate nationhood, that these cultural embassies will then actually become actual embassies. So it's a preparatory phase. The purpose of it, as I've stated before, is mainly to strengthen relations between California and other nations. You know, we talk a lot about nations that are pursuing independence, like Texas, Scotland, Artsakh, but it also actually applies to any nation in the world. If, say, India wanted to support California and show that India loves California and would be willing to work with California, at least, you know, in some manner, if we were independent, that they could take it upon themselves to, under certain guidelines, in a certain structure, to start up a cultural embassy in India for California, and that at the same time, we here in California would then do the same and open a cultural embassy for India here. So this is an example, but this is the model for all of them. Artsakh, Scotland, Baja, Texas, you name it. Any country that wishes to pursue stronger, better, healthier relationship with California, and is willing to work with an independent California should we reinstate our independence. This is what it's all about. And as far as, you know, the why would we do this? Why is it important? Because California, a major cultural and economic entity of the world, we could go it alone and we could be successful as we are right now. But wouldn't it be nice to have most of the rest of the world also agree and also be, you know, willing to trade? If California, you know, only has 5 trading partners, sure, we will probably still trade a lot of our goods because people want our goods. But if we have 50 to 100 nations that are wanting to be trading partners, it says very clearly to the current elected officials of California that, one, we really should do this. We would prosper greatly and far beyond what we do now. But also that there is really significant support, not just in California, but all over the world. So I'm not sure what else to say.
No, you're good. You're good. You're good. That's a good introduction. So the idea is this: whenever you have someone say an independent Republic of California recognizes another future independent republic, world news pays attention. And one way to get them to pay attention is to open what appears to be embassies. Now, technically, you can't do that. They're cultural centers. But if you had a cultural center in California aimed at the people of the Armenian country of Artsakh, and then on Artsakh, you had someone willing to open a simple office space with a sign that says Embassy of the Future Independent Republic of California.
I also I have contacts to other secessionist movements worldwide, so I'll send you some. If you want, I can set up a meeting later.
Who do you have contacts to, Robert?
On Twitter, I have contacts to the Scottish, someone from the Scottish independence movement, and then also a contact from the Cape independence movement in South Africa.
Nice. Robert Stark, please talk with Jason Wright. Robert Stark, please talk with Jason Wright. I'll hook you guys up. By the way, this is why we have these meetings. So what you just saw is what the future of the meetings are going to be. People have ideas and other people can help out. Yeah. So you basically reach out to an independence movement and you say, hey, if you can host an office dedicated to the future independent Republic of California, we can host one here. Because California already has attention with embassies and it's the world's 5th largest economy, and the idea of an independent California is very attractive to the news, If you do this, you get in the news with us. So basically, them saying that they'll recognize us and then we say that we'll recognize them is a way of attaching ourselves to the idea of California, and then they're inserting ourselves into the global media stream. We've done this twice. It can work for Scotland. It can work for breakaway provinces, and it could also work for indigenous nations. So if there are indigenous nations, you know, and they only have 2 square miles, but they're going, this is our future independent country. We'd love to recognize you. I want to go to John Simha. John Simha, you have a couple different projects. Could you talk about those for a few minutes? About 2 to 4 minutes, brother?
Yeah, thanks, Marcus. Hello, everyone. I just placed in the chat a link to our online presence, the California Independence Movement, all these different groups. I wanna reel it back into the tangible and to the actual work that needs to be done. We could talk about ourselves and what we've been doing and all our different groups and what we're trying to accomplish with our own unique platforms and everything else for hours and hours on end. And a lot of us have done this. What we're trying to do is create actionable items that people can see, they can read, and they can actually do something in the physical realm, have conversations with neighbors, develop community. The California Independence Movement Gilded platform has a place for everyone. So you can go in there, you can find your group, you can post your mission, your asks, what you want from people in the movement, what you hope to accomplish. You can build relationships with people that you have strong energy with. There's all kinds of potential, and that platform is represented in the physical realm at a mutual aid community that we just started building here in the Sierra foothills of Northern California. With the help of the indigenous nations of this area, we built a bark house, consecrated the ground, spoke our intentions to return the land to the tribes, to honor the treaties, and to create sovereign nations within this crumbling empire known as the United quote unquote states. And California has a unique opportunity, along with Texas and Vermont, actually. All 3 have Lone Star capabilities, and the work is being done. So we can talk for days, but meet us on Gilded and meet us at our facility in Smartsville, California, and hold ceremony with us. And let's put all our energy in the same direction so we can see some meaningful change instead of death by Zoom meetings.
John, could you talk for 2 minutes about Return California, how it started, the progress that's been made? I could do it too, but you're better versed on that. Just 2 minutes, like what is Return California, the video conferences, how many indigenous have been involved, the progress on it, because I think it's one of the best publicity projects Yes California started being attached to. Could you summarize it quickly for just everybody for a few minutes?
Real quick, I don't want to take too much time. There's a lot of people on this call, and I'd like to hear from everyone. Return California started with my efforts as the outreach director for Yes California. I started reaching out to various communities to find out what we as an organization could do to elicit their support. And every indigenous nation, member of indigenous nations that I spoke to, almost without exception, said the same thing: honor the treaties and give us our land back. And that's not about taking land from people that own it already. It's about public land. It's about federal land. It's being grossly mismanaged. In the online platform, on the Gilded platform, Return California is one of the groups that's present there. Our outreach efforts are really well represented on that Gilded platform. You can see all of the connections that we've made, and everybody on this call should really be represented there so that we can all stay in contact when we're not on Zoom meetings. Return California has been incredibly successful. We had our first listening roundtable hosted by California Indigenous elders who told us what we could do to gain support from their communities across California. And since then, we've had 6 other roundtables. The last one was on the 5th of this month, and it was hosted by the Mountain Maidu Consortium, which came together to build this mutual aid community in Northern California in Smartsville. So land back is their request. Acknowledgements are nice, but I can steal your car and acknowledge that it's yours. But if I don't give it back, what good is the acknowledgement?
Yeah, yeah.
I hate to interrupt, but I just want to point out that right there, when we talk about marketing and, you know, all of this stuff, that right there is so huge. That it could be the slogan, the catchphrase. That's perfect.
Okay, thank you, thank you. And we're gonna, I mean, the future meetings are gonna be better conversations. We'll get into that. So let's go to Farhad. Farhad Khorasani?
Yes, Marcus, I'm here.
Farhad, you and I had been talking about the idea of having an initiative or something that would get the 1 million Californians of Iranian heritage at least paying attention to CalExit. Now, I had gone to a few CalExit meetings and spoke to other members, and I was surprised to find a lot of support for the idea of an initiative that said basically something along the lines of, no, we don't have the final text. Yes, we're going to workshop it. No, it's not the final text. Yes, we're going to work on this. But Farhad, something about CalExit members seemed to like the idea of something that said, in a future independent California, we don't want to support America's militarism and it's going around the world and being an aggressor. Like Governor Jerry Brown said, we build bridges while Americans build walls. And so a future independent California would not want any sanctions on Iran, not because they agree with everything that government does, not because they think that they're perfect, but because sanctions and bullying is an American tactic. And while we don't agree, we would rather have bridges and connections with people, and that's how Californians operate. That initiative is we're working on. Could you talk to us a little bit about that, your thoughts, your feelings, and maybe postulate where you think that could go?
Sure. So yeah, we definitely don't want to do anything with the American policies on Iran over the past couple of decades. The US government has put harsh economic sanctions on Iran and Iranians, and it has the sanctions have hurt ordinary Iranians the most. It didn't have any effect on the Iranian government because they are at the top, they are an oligarchy. And so the result of sanctions has been Iranians couldn't get COVID-19 vaccinations, they can't get cancer medicines, they can't have any transactions with the war, they can't transfer funds. Also, this had a great impact on Californians of Iranian background because they can't send money or receive money from their home country, from their motherland. They're subject to discrimination. They're subject to economic sanctions. So if we want to sell this to the Iranian Persian community here in California and show our good faith to Iranian people, we should support and file an initiative for removal of economic sanctions on Iran because it has a direct effect on Californians of Iranian background. So I guess that I feel like that's the way to go. That's how we would get the support of Californian Iranians. And Iranians have historically loved California. They have been living in California for decades. The first group of immigrants who immigrated from Iran to the United States, they settled in California. There's 1 million Iranian Californians here in California, and they would love the idea of an independent state of California. And I think they would support the idea if we can sell it to them.
Thank you. Thank you. We'll come back. So we're going to get to everybody, but just so that you know, You saw me introduce everybody, and then you saw everybody get to introduce themselves. And then now we're talking about the projects that people will be pursuing. There will be additional publicity projects, but I wanted you to see the idea of some of the types of publicity projects that this board is going to be focused on making happen. And I wanted to repeat, you do not have to like every project, but if you don't, I mean, basically, we're not here about critiquing ideas, we're about helping promote them. So if you see something you like, please reach out to them. Dewank Mahajan is doing data analysis. Farhad Khorasani is reaching out to Iranian communities. John is reaching out to the indigenous. Jason is reaching out to the Create an Embassy in Foreign Nations. And now let's hear from Matt Owen. Matt Owen, you're working on a publicity project about an embassy in an indigenous land and working with Movimiento de Independencia. Matt, in 3 minutes, could you tell us about the projects you're working on, brother?
Well, the projects, basically, as you correctly listed, is the Gran California Independence and Reunification Movement, okay, in which Yes and MIBC and Return are all working to reunify the country in a peaceful way, hopefully, the way Germany was reunified. The cultural missions are like the embassy projects in other countries, except they're cultural missions to the indigenous nations, of which we're a part. Where I'm sitting was a former site of the Kauai Cultural Museum. It's just off to my left. And now they're building a big one. They put the stuff in it already. And once the pandemic is over, they will open it. It's huge. It's a block long. It's a block away from here, which leaves their former site, which I was informed belongs to the city of Palm Springs, available. So they have a record of making cultural missions to the city of Palm Springs, like the one that used to be here and the one that's going up a block away. So basically, what I'm going to propose to those whose building this is, that we move in and establish our Gran California cultural mission to the sovereign Kauai nation, promoting our joint recuperation of our sovereignty. And by the way, their nation is scattered amongst several reservations too. They were cleared off of most of their territory. When we do return federal land, a lot of that territory will be retroceded to them. And, we'll be a little less likely to burst into flames. But yeah, that's what I'm working on. And if I move to someplace else, I'll check in there, see what indigenous nation whose territory I'm moving to, and contact them about opening our Gran California cultural mission to them. Okay, so the basically is applying the model of cultural missions to sovereign nations to our sovereign indigenous nations to promote the joint recuperation of their sovereignty and ours.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Next, I want to go to Christine. You don't have to. Oh, never mind. Never mind, Christine. All good. I'll have you on in the future. I totally understand. Dewank, I understand. Thanks for coming out. There will be a recording. We'll get back to you. Let's go to Darren. Is Darren Brown here? I'll send you a recording. Dewank. Is Darren Brown here? Okay, well, let me cover what Darren Brown's project was. The California Dream podcast. So Darren Brown is a community college professor in Stockton, California. He loves politics, followed the Bernie Sanders campaigns, and began seriously thinking about California independence last year after Super Tuesday and into the summer as tensions in the United States escalated, months before anyone ever saw the coup. Darren is asking to be part of the Yes California Board of Directors. His project is a podcast where he's asking everybody to be willing to do an interview who's a board member or a advisor, definitely all board members. So it's going to be called the California Dream Podcast, now available on several apps and directories, including Amazon Music and Spotify. The strategic goals will be to get Californians discussing California issues and freedom from America, interview activists, board members, platform for current events, have a sense of a shared experience as Californians, and provide a professional appearance and get noticed by people who talk about politics. I'll be reaching out to all of you. Darren would like to interview all of you for his podcast. He's a smart man and he's dedicated. Okay, those were the major projects that I have. I'm going to open up the floor to everybody right now and ask. Sue will get a chance to introduce herself at 1 p.m. So the board meeting is only for board members till 1 p.m. At 1 p.m., we're going to open it up to the general public. So the beginning of the meeting is for the board members, so we focus on the board. At 1 p.m., it'll be open to the public, and Sue and anybody from the public can ask then. The reason for that is we wanted to keep the board organized and focused. So let me open up the floor. Anybody who's a board member, is there a publicity project to get Californians discussing the idea of independence that you're interested in and you would like help on? You are free to unmute yourself. And I just asked, let's be cordial and nice, but this is your chance. Hey, I got a publicity project for CalExit I really want to talk about. I want to make sure I'm open to anybody. So unmute yourself and mention your project. Don't have to. If you've already spoke, I'm asking you to not speak again. So if someone who hasn't spoke about their projects, if you have a project or something, please speak up. So Sam, Rabbi Axelman, Christine, Daniel, Robert Stark, CE, Jeremy, John Bowman, Nicholas, Morgan, or TJ Shelton. You don't have to, but I want to make sure that you have the opportunity to go, hey, here's a publicity idea I have. Sam.
I'm going to chime in here, Marcus. And as you know,
please.
Hey, we continue to promote California sovereignty as we have for many years. We're Weaponized News, which is me broadcasting on Access Television here. We're on the internet fighting through the censorship. And so I guess the best publicity that myself personally can do is to continue to broadcast the message of California sovereignty.
Okay. All right. I'm going to get into, is anybody else have any ideas they want to discuss who hasn't already spoke? Okay, then let me cover a couple publicity projects that Yes California is doing, and then we'll talk about the organization of the board, and we'll call it an end for the day. Yes California is also working on a few publicity projects. Our plan is to grow the list to we have almost 18 area reps. You may call them chapters. Really, it's just someone in the area who says, if someone's in Clovis or downtown Belmont, and they go to the Yes California map and go, I just want to talk to somebody who also thinks this is worth discussing. They would click on the map. Oh, well, someone's in Clovis just like me. They would email through Yes California. We would filter out any garbage, and you would only get an email if you lived in Clovis, California, from another person who wanted to talk about CalExit. You're not selling them on CalExit. You're not convincing them. It's called normative programming. What we found is that when you go, I see someone else in my neighborhood who's also thinking of this, it automatically makes you think this is okay. So humans are a herd instinct. I'll send out the video, but it's basically called The Second Idiot. There's a music concert in Berkeley, and this is on TED Talks. A lot of the American Psychological Association, a lot of psychologists have looked at this and studied this. Normative programming, we're herd animal. Concert in Berkeley. Hippie concert, everybody's smoked out of their gourd. One guy's dancing, just dancing recklessly. And everybody's looking at him like, look at that weirdo. That goes on for an hour. And then one person One person, one, walks up and stands next to that guy and starts dancing. Within 15 minutes, there's 200 people dancing. See what happened? One person equals crazy. The second person to go, I'll dance, everybody thinks must be okay. That's how humans work. You don't have to agree. You are programmed to do this. I'm not asking for your agreement. I'm letting you know this is how humans work. And so the plan is to do normative programming. I want to have 90 area reps, 90. We had 84 before. So Yes California had 84 chapters, 84 people up and down California said, yeah, I'll talk to someone in the area. We're making it even less of an imposition or difficulty. It would be an email. You'd have complete anonymity. They would know nothing about you other than your name is TJ or Jason or Sam, and you live in Clovis. And they would ask you about, hey, what's this CalExit movement? And you would say, yeah, I talked to them. I went to conference. They're okay. Maybe I don't like this. Maybe I do like that. Just talking to them. And what we found is that people will go, I'll join too. You're not selling them. You're just showing them that rational people are going to be part of this. That's also why we launched the board of directors. This itself is another publicity project for Yes California. We wanted to show that reasonable people believe now's the time and that it's unreasonable not to have this conversation. I want to get the board up to about 60 members. Yes, I understand there will be organizational issues. I get it. But I would rather work with you on how to solve those issues than to say, hey, people think this is okay. Yeah, Marcus, I don't see anybody standing next to you. I think it's just a bunch of smoke. I would rather have 60, 90 people, reasonable, being able to show up at certain meetings, and we're working hard to figure out how to organize that, and then about 90 reps. I think if I can do that, what it will show is that people in California are willing to have this. The other publicity project working on normative programming that Yes California is doing is simply getting photos of people signing the initiative. Yes California, along with donors, paid for the CalExit initiative. We were the only group to do that. Individuals paid, but no other CalExit group, just Yes California. That initiative has been circulating. There's an 8.5 by 11 print, 11 by 17 print. You can sign and download. By the way, the Stem Cell Initiative collected all of their needed signatures through printing and downloading during the pandemic. So yes, it can be done. But more importantly, every time you talk to someone and they sign that initiative and we get a photo, that's normative programming. I have around 100 people because of Nick himself signing the initiative. And when people go, that's crazy, nobody would do that. And I go, how about these 100 people who are Latino, old, Arab, Black, white, Muslim, Hindu, women, men, LGBTQ, super conservative? It begins to obliterate the concept that Californians aren't into this. How come so many are signing this? How come so many people are area reps? How come all that board's got all those people? Must be something that's reasonable to talk about. Otherwise, why would they be there? That's our main publicity projects. We're working on that. John Simha, I should say, actually, Louis Marinelli is going to have a video out of people signing the signatures, and it's going to be made like a Hollywood blockbuster movie. So Yes, California is going to have our own advertising of signature gathering coming out. We also have a music video by John Simha coming out. There's an artist here in California who made the song, California is My Nation. John approached her, convinced her to work with Yes California, and we will be the exclusive music video distributors for this artist on her song, hoping to build encouragement in the idea. Music videos coming out, promotional videos coming out, building 90 chapters, building 90 board members, building normative programming. Additionally, we're working on opening embassies in ARTSOC and other areas in indigenous nations. And we're also working on publishing a book. I've been working with Camby's Mostafizadeh. He has agreed to publish a second book for CalExit. Camby's, I'm sorry for the slow response, brother. I'm trying to get it all together. But this second book will be talking about the CalExit movement, how it came together and where it could go. So we'll be getting a book published. If you'd like to be part of that, reach out to me. You've seen a variety of publicity projects that different people are pursuing. And you've heard some that we here in Yes California are pursuing. That's the big idea. That was the point of today's meeting. We're not here to discuss, do I believe in CalExit? We're not here to discuss, is it a good idea? We're here to discuss, you already know we should be talking about this. Even if you don't necessarily believe it's the answer. You are convinced this is a conversation that only reasonable people would have. And people who say don't have this, you're being silly and crazy. That's all I need you to believe in. I'll be intolerant if you don't believe that, but I'll be very accepting if you don't necessarily believe that CalExit is the answer. It's about having these conversations. In this hour and a half, thank you for being patient. You've seen about 11 ideas on how to do that. They come from a wide variety of specters: writing editorials, music videos, reaching out to new people, building alliances, or just trying to say something edgy in an editorial. That's the range. These future meetings are going to be about this: publicity projects. I'm demanding that there's no negative energy. So I will not tolerate people saying, I don't know why we're even doing that. Let's just quit that idea. That's silly. However, I totally expect critical comments. Hey, I see what you're doing there, but I think you're kind of missing this point. Christine is basically great. She taught me how to do this. Christine, I'm going to pick on you, Christine, because you're so awesome. Christine would go, I see what you're trying to do. And I would go, oh God, be gentle. She says, I don't do gentle. Here's the 3 things you need to do to be super mega awesome, okay? You're here, you could be here. Do these 3 things and we'll be serious. And it's a little rough, but I got to tell you, when I listened, she was right every single time. We knocked that thing out the park. So negative energy, I don't know why we're talking about this. I don't like your idea. Not for this meetings. Keep it to yourself. Critical comments on how to make that idea better and that you think someone's missing something, always speak up. The future meetings are going to be about production and production ideas. This organization is going to be about appearing to be a corporate board, although we're not technically a board, running efficiently and showing that the CalExit movement is full of dedicated people who are smart, some formally educated, some country educated, but who all want this and believe the conversation's there. Every single meeting is going to be about publicity projects and how to make them better and move forward. We're going to have multiple recordings showing a group of dedicated professionals who represent lawyers, pollers, activists, professors, and just critical thinkers, every single meeting. And every single meeting is going to be publicity projects and how to make it better. Obviously, we'll have to have some discussion on how do you sell CalExit and how do you make it quickest. But largely, it's about production and making it happen. We have about 20 minutes left in the meeting. We're basically done. At 1 o'clock, I will stop the recording and we'll have a separate, anybody can participate. But for the next 20 minutes, I'm going to take questions from the board director only or our guests, Daniel and Jeremy Zogby. So if you're Daniel from Ambassador from Texas Nationalist Movement, if you're Jeremy Zogby of Zogby Polling, or Mustafa from Al Jazeera News, or if you are a board member, please unmute yourself, ask a question, and I will answer anything with the remaining time that we have now. Any questions from anybody who's a board member or a guest?
Mine's not exactly a question, a little more of a statement. I see vast potential with the Texit and the CalExit movements both working together, being supportive of each other, standing in solidarity, supporting each other's right to self-determination. I think this is huge, and we should definitely make this happen, strengthen our relationship, work very close together. That's my opinion.
Yeah, can you hear me, Marcus?
Yes.
Okay, yeah, I agree. Marcus and I had about an hour conversation earlier this week, and we're working out the details with Texas Nationalist Movement of exactly what it is. But the position that I was put into, and that's why I say we use the term ambassador, is again, reaching out to these various movements. I happened to be on a podcast that Marcus did also earlier in the week, and that's what got me back in touch with him. He and I worked together a year or so ago for a little while. I had to step away at that point, but that's exactly what Texas Nationalist Movement is looking to do, is form these alliances, because we're in the position where we think it would be the height of hypocrisy to say Texas should be able to be independent, but we don't care about California. California has just as much right to be independent. Baja has just as much right to be independent as we do. Personally, I look at it as the way America is being run now is not how it was originally supposed to be. It was supposed to be independent states that just came together on a couple issues. Other than that, we're all supposed to be separate. And that's how we look at it from the Texas point of view also, is everyone has a right to determine their own. We don't even use the word secession unless we need to use it in a generic sense to get people to understand our concept. We like to use the terms self-determination or independence. To us, we've found that the word secession turns people off because they feel like they're thinking back to the Civil War of, okay, we want to do this violently. TNM completely is against violence. We purge our organization of any members that have the lock and load mentality. We think any issue that is settled with violence is never truly settled. It'll only get settled at the ballot box. So I agree. We're here to reach out.
That's excellent. One of the things I talked with Daniel about, and we do not have approval to do this. We're just talking, okay? Don't have approval, just talking. We made an offer for the Texas Nationalist Movement to have Daniel be a permanent advisor to our board, to show some sort of continuity. They're looking into that. The other thing is that we thought if we could get a joint press statement from Yes California and the Texas Nationalist Movement saying that we do not have the same values, okay, we don't. But we're equally committed to peaceful and legal secession. And we recognize the right of people to pursue Congress and ask for the right to legally secede. I love it when people bring kids. I'm Latino. I love it. I love it. Bring your kids. So yes, to get back to that, yes, that's what we're doing. Good point. And if we could get a press release where the two largest secessionist movements say jointly, we're here to legally secede and we recognize that, that's going to be expletive worldwide news, folks. I'm pretty good at getting publicity. We get that statement out, Yes California goes into the upper atmosphere. So, and the same thing with TNM. It's up to them to choose it. Okay, any other questions about the organization?
Could I also just point one last quick little thing on that, is that there are a lot of people in California and there are a lot of people in Texas. If all of the people of Texas and all of the people of California are supporting each other, that is quite a lot of support for each of our movements.
Yeah. Matt Owen. You have to unmute yourself, Matt. And then Morgan, I'll call on you.
Okay, my question is for the correspondent from Al Jazeera on how
Mustafa.
Yes, Mustafa. Assalamu alaikum. And
I don't think he's here.
I
think he left.
Oh, fudge.
He's not here.
Mustafa, you there?
Just leave your message. I'll send him the recording. Just tell him, just say what you want to say to him and he'll see it.
Okay. My question to him is how we can best support the people of two Middle Eastern countries who are being killed off. I refer, of course, to the Palestinians and the Yemenis. Okay, the Yemenis did what we're trying to do. They reunified their country. Okay, after the end of the Cold War, they reunified Yemen. And then what with some political changes and everything, now they're having, they're being blasted to death literally by the Saudis. Okay, and so, sure, they reunified. They're de jure a separate country, but here come the Saudis and 27 million Yemenis are facing starvation. That's more than the Soviet Union lost in the Second World War. It's a horror. And how do we support them just for them to live? Okay. And of course, Palestine, you have the country invaded, right? As we were repeatedly invaded. Our indigenous people here, I must say, have tremendous solidarity with the Palestinian people, because it's like, wow, we've been through this, okay?
We're going through it.
The question I would have for the folks in Al Jazeera, being from the Middle East, is how do we best support the right of the Palestinian people and Yemeni people just to exist as human beings? Very basic thing, okay? Very basic.
Hey, Matt.
Okay.
About Yemen, with what's going on, Qatar, which is where Al Jazeera is based, they recently signed a deal with Saudi. So Saudi is the one that's supplying weapons to one of the factions in Yemen. So it's a very complicated situation. And, you know, even a reporter who's based from Doha might not necessarily like be able to answer everything with that,
Oh, I know.
just because it's such a broad
I can answer the
topic.
question, and we'll see where that goes, because yeah, I've been tracking Al Jazeera from the get, and I know about how the Emirate has been close, has been gripping its grip on Al Jazeera tighter and tighter and tighter. They started out an orphan station that was adopted by the Emirate, and then the Emirate has kept tightening their grip. So yeah, I know about that, but thank you for the reminder.
I think we have to depart from American policies in Middle East. You know, the major allies of the U.S. government in the Middle East are Saudi Arabia and Israel, and they're both the countries that are inflaming the war in Middle East with Palestine, with Lebanon, with Yemen, and all the war that we see is going on in Middle East. So we have to we might have to take a stance, against those policies. We can talk about it more to see.
Oh yeah, no.
What is the best?
I just want to make sure Christine gets a minute to. Did you have more to say? Because I always find what you're saying brilliant. Good analysis. Was there? I think you're cluing in on something.
So it, like Farhad said, like it's a very complicated situation. And the thing is, like with Yes California, so we have to tread carefully because of just the political delicacy of the situations there. Saudi has signed deals with Israel against the Palestinians, which is an issue. They also see Iran as one of the biggest threats in the Middle East to them. So they have done sanctions and made sure that Iran does not have the support it needs from the international community. So these are things that CalExit has to take into account when making alliances and friendships. So yeah, I can talk a lot longer on it, but it's, a big thing.
Farhad? Farhad, brother? No, brother.
Sure. I think we have to do we have to undo what the U.S. government has done in Middle East. We have to do the opposite because our values are different, because we don't want to be the same as the U.S. government. Otherwise, why are we leaving the U.S. government, the Union? So if you're leaving the Union, then I guess we have to have new allies in the Middle East, and supporting Saudi Arabia and Israel is going to be the same policies that the U.S. government has taken over the past couple of decades. So we have to take that into consideration.
Great. I'm going to take a second here to highlight something that's really important to me. I don't know if you can see that.
That's a horrible photo. Thank you.
I'm sorry. What I was inspired by was that there's a man watching this with his young daughter. And his young daughter's watching an intelligent woman speak her mind. And growing up with a single mother who was discounted because she was ethnic and a woman, I find it impressive to be surrounded by other males who believe in empowering young women by showing them other impressive women. And I am exceptionally pleased to be part of that. So that's what I saw in that photo. That's all I was trying to highlight. Other questions about the board from anybody? Any questions at all? We got about 10 minutes. This is your chance to ask questions, and then we'll end this meeting, and I will email you an update. Of course, this will be published, and we'll have another meeting in a week, and I'm available for questions throughout the week. Any questions about the board from board members or our guests, Jeremy Zogby, Mustafa from Al Jazeera, and Daniel from TNN. TJ, any questions, brother?
Yeah, I have a few actually. One
Please.
is for the people working with indigenous groups. I know that there's a lot of good conscious. I'm a hip hop junkie. Okay, just want to put that out on front. I'm into conscious hip hop. I'm not into hip hop that promotes like stupidity or any of that type of stuff. But like the one earlier where he had said basically about the stealing the car and not giving the land back. Christian Parrish is a native hip hop guy who did an album called Illuminatives, which is basically their like fist bump with the brothers saying we got your back. Okay, so basically every day is People's Day. They still it until they get that land back. And there's a large movement in the hip hop community, both on the Black side and the indigenous side. But what's key is the ones who realize how much they actually intersect, and how many of the people that are American indigenous were chalked up as transatlantics. Like people don't know their history very well. And there was less transatlantic than there was dark people who got grouped with them that were indigenous that came over with the Olmecs about 2,500 years before good old Christopher Columbus. And so whether or not it's something that needs to be importantly brought to the table is doing something for American descendants of slaves. If we're going to release federal land, if we're going to release state land, we seriously need to have that conversation, because much of that history has been intentionally erased and suppressed. And there's large movements in hip hop, both in the indigenous community and in the Black community, that are on board with the idea of separation of some sort, whether or not they have really a plan exactly how that's going to look like or what that looks like. I think that more education cross-culturally between them will help them find that they have way more in common, and that the conscious side of their movement is a healing agent for our nation. I believe there's healing available in hip hop. I think education is a healing thing. Getting to know one another and understand one another is something that heals blindness, if you will, cultural blindness, narrow-mindedness, and I think that is a necessary component for any movement that's going to succeed in bringing any conciliatory effort to a peoples in America. You can't ignore our history. You can't ignore what's going on. You can't ignore the fact that women have a better empathy than men, and we'd like more of them in business and more of them in politics. It's there our traditional way of doing things, and suppression and oppression by violence and force is a thing of the past, hopefully, prayerfully. But what we need to do is get the people to the table who have disagreements with where we are and how we got here historically, so that they can talk, so that we can figure out where to go from here. Right now, there is no real conversation going on nationally about how we go from here that isn't part of some big political team that's sold out and they're on the same team. And we've had all red everything, Congress, court, everything, and the Republicans never got their holy grail of Roe versus Wade. We've had an all blue everything court, Congress executive, and yet we didn't move the ball forward progressively. And that's because really there isn't much difference between them. They're all the the same team. And what we need is a team of people who want to work together peacefully and acknowledge the fact that, like the brother said, we've been waging financial wars. Okay, we have poor alliances globally because we're supporting an old system that we all, by being here, acknowledge has some brokenness to it. Naomi woke me up this morning and said, happy Reformation Day, Daddy. Every day is Reformation Day in our house. Okay, we are big fans of Michael King and Michael King Jr., who Michael King Jr., when he's 5, his dad renamed him to Martin Luther King Jr. Okay, so he was born Michael King. Imagine being 5 years old and your daddy comes back from a trip to Germany investigating this reformer named Martin Luther with his 95 ideas and says, hey son, guess what? Your name is now Martin. Nah, not Michael anymore. You're Martin Jr. And here's why. And it was a man who stood up to the powers that be and said that he's going to work for the people regardless of whether or not they like it. I don't know if that's more question rather than venting, but
we'll stop there. But that's excellent, TJ. That's excellent. And we have about 3 more minutes, but I do want to point something out about TJ. He's a regular Californian with a critical mind. We have professors, we have lawyers, we have formal polling people, but we also have regular old Californians who can go, that don't smell like how California's going to buy something. And that's what I meant about devil's advocates and critical thinking skills. So you are just as valuable as the PhD of the lawyer, because what's the right way to secede? Oh, hold on, let me find my book that has that. There is no book. We're all guessing. So that means we're going to have group thinking to get there. Thank you, TJ. And I hope everybody saw, TJ's Caucasian and he has a mixed race family, a mixed race daughter. He talks pro BLM. How California can you get it? I just love seeing examples of California like that. That don't happen in Nebraska or Ohio. Anyways, 2 minutes. Any questions on the board of directors from anybody? Any questions at all? Okay, well then we're going to end ahead of time. There will be another email from me. If you want to contact anybody, email me. Marcus, that dude with the glasses said something like that. I'll know who you're talking about. I'll get you the contact. This is about hooking each other up. Next meeting is going to be a lot more streamlined. Since everybody knows each other and we have some about the projects, we're just going to go right into projects and how to get publicity and moving forward. So this one was a little bit longer. The future meetings are not going to be this long. I needed to show that this was real and that these were real humans. So we had to spend a lot of time documenting who's here and that, yes, they wanted to be here and everybody got here. We're not doing that in the future. So the future meetings are going to be getting stuff done, only introductions on new people. This one was much longer than normal. It will not be like this. So we'll be meeting again next Sunday at 11. Going to 1. You only have to come for 1 hour. I'll be here for future questions. I'll send you an email out soon. You all have my email, and my phone number is 415-595-3394. That's 415-595-3394, 415-595-3394. You can call and text, and you can email me. So let me end the meeting, and then we're going to start a new meeting. So we're going to have our public open session. This is the end of the board meeting. I'm going to start a brand new meeting. Nobody has to stick around for. You can. It's for non-board members to express their opinion about the board. So let me stop the recording. You want to stop cloud recording?